Thank you for joining us here at Servant Crafts for our first crochet along with me, and we're going to work on this big dinosaur, stegosaurus body pillow together. I had a request for this from a viewer who said that she got the pattern and was trying to get started with it, but was struggling to understand the directions, and it would be helpful to her to actually see how to do it. So here you go. So we'll begin. Your very first step is going to be to download the pattern from Yarnspirations. There'll be a link in the description. When I download my patterns, sometimes it works best for me to just go ahead and print it off. And then I've got it with me wherever I am. So after you get your pattern, next you're going to need some Bernay blanket yarn. And the main color that they used here in this pattern was light teal. However, I chose to use this, I think it's called Plum Fields or something like that. It's a variegated yarn. And it says that you need 3 balls or 534 yards. This is the third time I am making this body pillow. And I can tell you that every time I needed about 710 yards. So I had to go get a 4th ball. So just for your knowledge, then the contrast yarn, you just need 1 ball and you'll use about half of it. And I used plum for mine. So you'll need a hook that is a USL, like Larry, or an 8mm crochet hook. In this kind of a thing, I don't worry much about gauge. So just use the L crochet hook. You'll also need a significant amount of stuffing. I buy my stuffing in 5-pound boxes, and I use about half of that in this stuffing. And then you'll need a ball. I've got just a ball of scrap black yarn, and you'll need a yarn needle. And anyway, this Bernay blanket yarn that you need is super bulky. So if you don't want to use this, I say Bernay. I guess I've heard people say Bernat. I don't know which it is. But if you don't want to use that identical yarn, you certainly can use any super bulky yarn. So to begin the body, we need to begin at the head with the main color, and you are going to put your loop on the hook. So I just put my hook through the yarn, twist it around and hold it, and with my hook hand, and then yarn over and pull through. This yarn can be a little challenging to work with, especially in the beginning. Then you're just going to tighten that down, and that's how I make my initial loop. It's a slip knot, so it does pull out if you need to. Then it says we're going to chain 11. Another thing that you'll need that I failed to mention earlier are stitch markers. And I have 2 different kinds. You'll see that I've got a red stitch marker here sitting out, and it is the kind that's like a safety pin, so it's a locking stitch marker. And you'll need 2 of those. And you'll see why as I explain later, to mark your beginning and the beginning of your rounds. And so you will chain 11. Also, you'll need this, I prefer the slip-on kind of stitch markers to mark the face and how you're going to stitch the face on your cute little dino here. So that's your 11 chains. And it says we're going to begin with 1 single crochet in the 2nd chain from the hook. And if I can't see them, because this yarn is so fuzzy and bulky, it is hard to see. I feel for that space in between. I can kind of see the indication of it. So that's my first stitch, and here is my second one. So you're going to put a single crochet in that 2nd stitch from the hook, and 1 single crochet in each of the next chains. So that's a total of 8 more now. So again, find it by feeling kind of where the space is until you get used to this. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the last one 8. Then it says 3 single crochet in the last chain. So in this last chain here, you're going to put 3 single crochets. All in that same space. 1, 2, 3. Now you can see that has kind of turned the corner for you. And now you have the opposite side of the chain kind of up on top there where you can work. And that's where you're going to be working, in that opposite side of the foundation chain. So now you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of the next 8 chains. And again, feeling is the best way to find them. 1, 2. This is the most awkward piece of all of this right here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the last one 8. And now it says 2 single crochet in the last chain. So put 2 right there in the end. And it'll be kind of in the same space as where you did that first single crochet. 1 and 2. And now the most important thing to the success of the rest of your whole dinosaur is that you should now have 22 single crochets. And I just slip stitched it, stitched the round closed there, and now you want to count every round. So you've got to have, and it says 22 single crochet. I usually count before I slip stitch. For me, it makes it a little bit easier to get an accurate count, including that first one. But you're going to count all the way around until you come back to your yarn where you ended there. And again, if you can't see it, feel for it. You can kind of feel that there's a space in between the stitches, and that's where you can find your stitches. And if your count isn't right the first time, go back and count again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. That's it. So you've got your stitch marker ready, and you're going to start with your second round, which you've slip stitched the round together. And And this is where I use my sticky note. I am an avid sticky note user, and that keeps my place so that if I set down for some reason, I know exactly where I am. So I'm going to begin with a chain 1, and then I'm going to do 2 single crochets in the first single crochet, and that's all going to happen right in where that last chain 1. And then you get your first single crochet and you're going to put that stitch marker in, and it will become a habit. Once you do that first single crochet, you're going to put that stitch marker in and lock it. Now you're going to do a second single crochet in that same space. And now it says 1 single crochet in each of the next 8 single crochets. So 1 each in 8. 1, all right, you finished your 8 single crochets, and it says put 2 single crochets in each of the next 3 single crochets. So you're going to put 2 in each of the next 3 spaces. So 1 and 2 in the same space. The next space gets 2, 1, make sure you go through 2 legs of that V stitch, of that stitch, not just 1. So that's 1 and a second one in the same space, 2. And one more time, we're going to put 2, 1, and 2. And now it says 1 single crochet in each of the next 8 single crochets. We can do that quickly. And now after the 8 single crochet, it says you're going to put 2 single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So just like the other end, we're going to do 1 and 2 in the same space, and the next 1 and 2 in the same space. And here you are, you've finished your round, and it says you should have 28 single crochets. So now before I slip stitch it together, or maybe after I slip stitch it together, I like to count before I slip stitch, but you're going to count and make sure that you have a full 28 and that the round is correct. Now you can see we have kind of an oblong shape, and that's what it should look like. And we're ready to begin now and to move down into round 3. So you're going to, like I said, I move my sticky note each time. And beginning round 3, each round is going to be closed or finished with a slip stitch to close it together, and then the following round is going to begin with a chain 1. And so round 3 does begin with that chain 1, and then it says we're going to put 1 single crochet in the first single crochet. So there's the first single crochet of the round. So again, habit, move that stitch marker immediately after you make that first single crochet of each round and lock it in. Now it says 1 single crochet in each of the next 8 single crochets. Now our next set of directions are in parentheses, and that means that they are going to form a pattern that we are going to repeat several times. So in the parentheses it says 1 single crochet in the next single crochet, 2 single crochet in the next single crochet, and it says that we're going to repeat that 3 times. So 1 single crochet in this next one, and 2 in the next stitch, 1, and 2 in the same stitch. And now that's 1 time we've done that. So now we're going to repeat it a second time, 1 in the next, and 2 in this next, 1, and 2. And that's the second time. Now we'll do it a third time, which is 1 and 2 in this stitch, 1, 2. That's the third time. Now it says 1 single crochet in each of the next 8 single crochets. Now we've finished the 8 single crochets, and we have another set of parentheses to tell us a pattern. 1 single crochet in the next, and 2 single crochet in the next single crochet, and we're going to do that twice. So that's once, and now 1 single, and now 2 singles in this last, in the last crochet space, 1 and 2, and that is the second time. So that finishes our round. It says we should have 34 single crochets in this round, so let's count. So we have the correct number. We are going to slip stitch our round together, and we'll be ready to begin round 4. So we'll begin round 4 as we have with all the rounds. We're going to do a chain 1 and then 1 single crochet in each of the first 2 single crochets. So there's the chain 1, and now we want 1 single crochet in each of the first 2 stitches. So there's 1, and again move that stitch marker, be diligent, because that's what's going to keep your piece being made correctly. And the second single crochet in the next stitch is 2. Now it says 2 single crochet in the next single crochet. So we're going to put 2 in this space, 1 and 2, and then 1 single crochet in each of the next 8 single crochets. Okay, now we have our first set of parentheses in our round 4, and that says 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 single crochets, and then 2 single crochets in the next single crochet. We're going to do that 3 times. So that's 1 and 2, and now we're going to put 2 in the next one. 1 and 2. And that's the first time. We're going to do 3. So here's a single and a single in the next, and 2 in the next. 1 and 2. That's the second time. Now we need to do it a third time, so we're going to do 1 in each of the next 2, and that's 2, and 2 in this next one. 1 and 2, and that is our third time. Now we're back down to 8, 1 single crochet in each of the next 8. Our last parentheses is going to be a pattern of 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 single crochets and 2 in the next one, and we're going to do that twice. So this is our second single crochet, and now 2 in this one, stitch, and that's the first time. And now we're going to do it a second time. 1 and another one, and now 2 in this next one. And that completes this round, and it says you should have 40 single crochets in this round. So let's count that. Because we've got our 40, we can close our round with a slip stitch. And now that says the next 5th through 7th rounds are going to be even 1 in 1. So I simply use my sticky note, write 5th, 6th, and 7th on there. I'm going to chain 1 and put 1 single crochet in each of the next single crochets all the way around. No doubles, nothing. And we're going to then once I get done, I'm going to tick off 5. Then I'm going to do the same for 6 and the same for 7. And I'll meet you back here when I've finished number 7. Round is finished. We're ready to tick that off and get started with round 8. And again, moving the sticky note to round 8, we have closed our round. You can see here we've kind of made his muzzle. If a dinosaur has a muzzle, and I'm not sure if he does or not, but that's essentially what we've made here. These rounds of single crochets without any increases kind of cause it to turn in like that and to kind of become his nose, we'll say. So now we have closed it off and we've chained 1. And it says it begins with a parentheses, and so this is our pattern: 2 single crochets in the next single crochet, 1 single crochet in each of the next 3, and we're going to do that 4 times. So we're going to put 2 single crochets in this first single crochet right here, 1, and move the marker. And now we want a second one in this same space. 2. And now we're going to do 1 in each of the next 3 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3. And that's the first time we've completed this pattern. We want to do a total of 4. So now we're going to put 2 in this next one, 1 and 2, and 1 in each of the next 3. 1, 2, and 3. And that's our second time. So now we need to do it a third time. 2 in this first stitch here, 1 and 2, and 1 in each of the next 3, 1, 2, and 3. That's our third time, and for our last time we need to put 2 in this stitch and 1 in each of the next 3, 1, 2, and 3. And that's our fourth time. So now it says we're going to put 1 single crochet in each single crochet to the end of this round. So when you finished your round and counted all of your stitches and you have the right number, you close off this round, and we will move our sticky note and down to the 9th round. The 9th round will begin like all the others with a chain 1 and then with parentheses for a pattern. Our pattern for this round will be 1 single crochet in each of the next 4 single crochets and 2 single crochets in the next single crochet, and we're going to repeat that pattern 4 times. So here's our first single crochet in our pattern, 1, and move the stitch marker, and now in the next one, 2, and 1 in the next one, 3, and 1 in the next one is 4, and now we're going to put 2 in this next one, 1 and 2, and that's the first time for this repeat. We'll do it again. 1 in each of the next 4 stitches, 2, 3, and 4, and now we're going to put 2 in this next stitch, 1 and 2, and that's our second time for this pattern. Let's do it again. 1 in each of the next 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and 4, 2 in the next, 1 and 2, and that's our third time for this repeat. Now 4 in the next 4 stitches, 1 in each of the next 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 2 in this next stitch, 1 and 2. And now once again it says 1 single crochet in each single crochet to the end of the round, and you should have 48 counted when you're finished. Now for round 10. We've got the right number of stitches, and we're going to slip stitch round 9 closed, and round 10 says we are going to start again with a chain 1, and our pattern is going to be 2 single crochets in the next single crochet and 1 single crochet in each of the next 5 single crochets. We're going to repeat that pattern 4 times. So we need to put 2 in this first space here. So we're going to start with 1, move our stitch marker, and put a second one in the same space. And now we're going to do 1 single crochet in each of the next 5 single crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we've done that pattern 1 time. So we're going to do it again. 2 stitches in the next single crochet, 1 and 2, and 1 in each of the next 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that's the second time we've done that. So we need 2 more times of the same thing. 2 in the first stitch here, 1 and 2, and 1 in each of the next 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that's the third time. 1 last time, 2 in this first stitch, 2, and 1 in each of the next 5 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now it says that we're going to put 1 single crochet in each single crochet to the end of the round, and you should end up with 52 stitches in this round. Let's take a minute and look at what we have here. This finishing this round in 1 and 1 is going to give you that kind of flat or bottom edge of the dinosaur that kind of is where he's going to rest. And then these increased stitches are kind of making this kind of a brow ridge, we'll say, for this dinosaur's face and head. And this down here is where he's going to rest, kind of, and that brow ridge is going to come up and over, and then it will decrease down into a neck area. So this is just simply finishing this round with 1 single in each, and away we go with what we will have as our round 11. So we've completed round 10 and counted, and we have slip stitch the round together. We do chain 1, and then we're going to have 1 single crochet in each of the next 6 and 2 single crochets in the next single crochet, and we're going to do that 4 times. So it's 1 single crochet in this where the stitch marker is, and again, diligence in moving your stitch marker each time you put that first stitch in that round. And so that is 1, and we're going to finish with 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And now we need to put 2 in this next single crochet, 1 and 2. And that's your pattern. You're going to repeat that 3 more times before you go on to the next step. So 6, 1 in each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and now 2 in the next. 1 and 2. And repeat that now 2 more times. That was your second time. And then you will go on to do 1 stitch per stitch after you finish this 4-time repeat. So here is the 6 stitches, 1 in each single crochet. That's 6. Now 2 in the next. And repeat it 1 more time. One in each of the next 6 stitches. And now 2 in the next stitch. And this completes the pattern. Now it says 1 single crochet in each single crochet to the end of the round. You should have 56 stitches at the end of this round. Now we finish the round and count it, and we join together, and we move down to the 12th through the 17th rounds. Those are rounds where we begin with a chain 1, and we put 1 single crochet in each single crochet all the way around, and then we join. So that will be rounds 12, and I write my little sticky note 13, 14, 15, and 16. And then I can just tick them off as I complete them. 16, 17, sorry. And we'll come back after I have that completed. Just 1 in each. Again, begin with a chain 1, go all the way around, 1 stitch in each, and then we will come back. This video will conclude with putting in the face like we have here. We'll finish the head, and then I will show you how to mark out the face and to stitch that in, and then that will be the end of this as part 1 of our crochet along with me for this big dino. This is what the head looks like when you have finished the 17th round. And you can see that my quality control cat has arrived, Finnegan, to keep a very close eye on our progress. Now we are ready to begin with the round 18 with a chain 1. And its pattern will be 1 single crochet in each of the next 6 single crochets, and then we will single crochet 2 together. And if you haven't seen that before, I'll go down here when we get to that 6th single crochet. Looks like we're right there. Now we're going to single crochet 2 together. That means you go into the next single crochet and draw up a loop. And without doing anything else, you're going to go into the next single crochet and draw up another loop. And now you should have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. And that actually puts 2 single crochets into one. That helps you to reduce. And you are going to do that pattern 4 times. So it's going to be 6 single crochets, 1 in each, and then single crochet 2 together. So we'll do those 6. Finnegan is an 11-year-old cat, and he has diabetes, and you can see still pretty funky. He's always been around yarn because I've always been doing things, but this fuzzy yarn really, really intrigues him. So here's our 2 together. The first one, draw up a loop. In the next stitch, draw up a loop. You have 3 on your hook, yarn over, and pull through all 3. Now that's our second time. We're going to do this 2 more times. So 6, 1 in each. And now we're going to do the 2 together, if I can get my yarn back. In the next stitch, draw up a loop. In the following stitch, draw up a loop. Now we have 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. And now repeat this pattern for one final time. 6 single crochets, 1 in each stitch, and then 2 together. After you complete that final single crochet 2 together, you will do 1 single crochet in each of the remaining single crochets around, and you should now have 52 stitches when you finish this round, and then before you join. Okay, we have completed round 18. We do have the 52 stitches that we should have, and it's time to join that round with a slip stitch. And get ready to begin round 19. And we're going to begin that round as always with a chain 1. And then our pattern for this row will be 1 single crochet in each of the next 5 single crochets, and then we'll do 1 single crochet 2 together. We will do that pattern repeated 4 times before we move on to the next thing. So again, the first single crochet, 1 of 5, goes in, and we move the stitch marker. You'll see I am a stickler for that stitch marker. I found that with this yarn being as fuzzy and bulky as it is, it's very difficult to tell when I've ended a round. So I really, really have relied on these stitch markers. So that's 1, and we're going to do 5, 1 in each total, before we get to the single crochet 2 together. And it's the same way we did it on the last round. So we're going to draw up a loop in the next stitch, 3 on our hook, pull through 2. And that's the first time we have done our pattern, 5 single crochets with 1 single crochet 2 together. And we'll do that a total of 4 times. Once we finish the 4th time, we will do 1 single crochet in each of the remaining single crochets around, and we will end up with a total of 48. When we've counted that correctly and we know we've got it right, we will join it together. Great, we have completed round 19, counted and correct, and we want to close that round with a slip stitch. And now we're ready to turn our pattern to the next page and work on round 20. This round will begin like all the others with a chain 1. And our pattern for this round is 1 single crochet in each of the next 4 single crochets, then single crochet 2 together. We'll repeat the pattern, 4 single crochets, 1 in each, and 1 single crochet 2 together. We'll repeat that 4 times. When we've completed the 4th time, we will continue around the head until we come to the end of our round, and we will count and should have 44 single crochets in this round. So we've got 1 single crochet done and moved our stitch, 2, 3, excuse me, so that was 1, 2, 3, and 4, and it's time for our single crochet 2 together. So in the next stitch, we're going to go into the stitch and draw up a loop. Into the following stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops on our hook. And that's our first pattern. We'll repeat that 3 more times, and then 1 stitch in each to finish the round, where we'll have 44 stitches in total. All right, round 20 is completed and counted, and we've slip stitched it together. Now it's time to move down to the 21st round. It's going to begin again like all others with a chain 1. And then it's going to have 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 single crochets and a single crochet 2 together. We're going to repeat that pattern 4 times. 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 single crochets, and then 1 single crochet 2 together. 4 times total, and then we'll finish with 1 remaining single crochet in each of the next single crochets to the end of the round. Our total of this round will end up being 40 single crochets. So that was 1, our first single crochet, 2, and a third, and now crochet 2 together. So draw up a loop in the next stitch, draw up a loop in the following stitch, 3 on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. That's your first repeat. 3 more times, and then just finish the round. Now you can really see the head forming. We have actually finished with this row with round 21. We finished our decreases for the neck edge. Now we're going to begin to start increasing as we are getting ready to head towards his body. You can see Finnegan really likes dino heads too, and he's here to make sure that he looks just right. Now it's time to begin with our next round, round 22. And again, it's going to begin just like all the others with a chain 1. And this one gets a little bit more complicated. It's just a little bit more lengthy. Don't let that hold you up. We can do this together. I take my sticky note and I move it down to the end of the first pattern of stitching here. And it is, again, here we go. We just need to join this last round together. And then we're going to move the sticky note down. And since it's a big one, I like to really keep track by putting my sticky note right under the section that I'm actually going to be working on. So that's only 2 lines down. And it's going to tell me that that we're going to begin again, as always, with a chain 1. And then we're going to do 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 single crochets. And then in the next space, we're going to put 2. And we're going to do that twice. So our first single crochet of our 3 goes right in with our hook stitch marker, and we do the tedious thing of moving that marker. You'll get good at it, trust me. And that's 1, 2, and now our 3rd. Now in this next single crochet we're going to put 2. 1 and 2. Now it says to repeat that twice, so we're going to do it one more time. 3 single crochets, 1 in each. 1, 2, and 3. And now 2 in the next stitch. 1 and 2. And now I need to move my sticky note down, and it gives us our next pattern. That is going to be 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 single crochets, and then 2 single crochets in the next, and we're going to do that pattern 2 times. So 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, and now 2 in the next stitch. 1 and 2. And we're going to repeat that one more time. 1 in 1, 1 in 1, that's 2, and now 2 in this next one. 1 and 2. And now it says we are to do 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 single crochets. So just 1 single crochet in each of the next 2. So 1 in 1 and 2 in, that's 2. Okay, now we go to our next parentheses, which is our pattern, and it tells us 2 single crochet in the next single crochet, 1 single crochet in each of the next 3, and we'll do that 3 times. So now we're going to put 2 in this next stitch right here, 1, and a second one in the same space, 2, and now 3, 1 in 1, 1, 2, 3. And I've done that 1 time. And if you want to keep track, I put little hash marks so I know I've done it once. Now I'm going to do it again. 2 single crochets in this next one right here. 1 and 2. Now do 3 that are 1 in 1. 1, 2, and 3. And that's the second time. So we're going to do it again a third time. Starting with 2 and 1, 1 and 2. And now 3, 1 and 1, 1, 2, 3. And I mark down that I've done it a third time. Now it's time to move our sticky note, and it says the next step is 1 single crochet in each of the next 8 stitches. So 1 and 1 for 8. That's 3, 4, and this is 8. Now it says we're going to put 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 single crochets, and then 2 single crochets in the final stitch of that round. So we need to put 3 1-in-1s, 1, 2, and 3. And now in this last stitch, we're going to put 2 single crochets, 1 and 2. And now when we count this round before we join, we should have 48 single crochets in this round. You can do it. It looks long and it might be a little daunting right in the beginning, but just taking one step at a time, you will get through it with no problems at all. Okay, our count came out just right, so we can slip stitch this round closed and get ready to begin with round 23. Right here you can see how the head is shaped. You've got a nose, we've kind of got that brow ridge there, and his neck has come down and gotten smaller, and now we're working ourselves back out to the width of what his body will be. So again, on round 23 we're going to go just one section at a time. And we're going to begin with a chain 1, and then we will do a one single crochet in each of the next 4 single crochets, and then 2 single crochets in the next, and we will repeat that pattern twice. So we'll begin with a chain 1 to begin our round, and we'll put 1 single crochet in each of the next 4 single crochets, and then 2 in the next. So here is 1, and then move that favorite stitch marker, and our favorite cat head is in the way. And now we need to do 2, 3, and 4. And then we need to put 2 in this next 1 and 2. And then we repeat that again. Four, 1 in each, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and put 2 in the next, 1, 2. Okay, we've done that twice. Now it says we want to put 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 single crochets. So just 1 in each of the next 2. 1 and 2. Okay, now it says 2 single crochet in the next single crochet. So we're just going to put 2 stitches in this next one, 1 and another 2. And now it says 1 single crochet in each of the next 4. So we're going to do just 4 regular single crochets, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it says 2 single crochets in the next stitch. So we're going to put 2 in this same stitch, 1, 2. Now it says 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So just 2 regular single crochets, 1 in each. One and 2. Now it says 1 single crochet. Oops, sorry about that. Now we start another pattern, which is going to be 2 single crochets in the next single crochet and 1 in each of the next 4. And we're going to do that 3 times again. So we want to put 2 in this first stitch. That's 1 and 2. Now we're going to do 4 regular single crochets, 1 and 1. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that's 1 time. And we'll repeat it 2 more times. So 2 in the first one, and now 4, 1 and 1. And that's the second time, and we'll repeat it 1 more time. 2 in this first one, and 4 regular single crochets, 1 and 1. And that's our third time. So now we will put 1 single crochet in each of the next 8 single crochets. So 8 just 1 and 1 regular single crochets. And to finish the round, we put 1 single crochet in each of the next 4 single crochets, and in our last single crochet we put 2. So this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now we're going to put 2 in this last crochet, single crochet of the round. And now when we count, we should have a total of 56 single crochets in this round. Our count came out just right, so it's time to slip stitch the round closed and get ready to begin our 24th round. And that round, like all others, will begin with a chain 1, and then our pattern will be 1 single crochet in each of the next 5 single crochets, 2 in the next single crochet, and we'll repeat that pattern twice. So 1 in each for the next 5, and that's the first one, and we move the stitch marker. 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now we're going to put 2 in this next stitch. 1 and 2. And we're going to repeat that again one more time. 5 single crochets, 1 and 1, and 2 in the next one. And now 2 in the next. Okay, and now it says 1 single crochet in each of the next 2. So just 2 regular single crochets, 1 and 2. Now it says 2 single crochets in the next stitch. So 1 and another one in the same stitch. And now it says 1 single crochet in each of the next 6 single crochets. So 6 regular 1 and 1 single crochets. That's 3. And that's 6. And now it says 2 single crochets in the next single crochet. So 1 and 2 in the same space. Now it says 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 single crochets. So just 2 regular single crochets, 1 and 1. 1 and 2. And now we're going to begin another pattern in parentheses, which says we're going to begin with 2 single crochets in the next single crochet and 1 single crochet in the next 5. And we're going to repeat that pattern 3 times. So 2 in this first stitch, 1 and 2, and now 5 stitches, 1 and 1. And that's 1 repeat of this pattern. We're going to do it a total of 3. Now 2 stitches in this next crochet to begin the pattern, 2 in the same stitch, 1, 2, and now 5 regular single crochets, 1 and 1. And that's the second repeat of this pattern. We'll do it a last time where we begin with 2 in this next stitch. And 5 1 and 1 regular single crochets. And that's the third time. Now we're ready to move on with 1 single crochet in each of the next 8. So 8 regular single crochets. This is 4. And that's 8. Now the last step is 1 single crochet in each of the next 5 single crochets and 2 single crochets in the last stitch of the round. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 2 in the same stitch in this last single crochet of the round. And when you count, you should have 64 single crochets in this round. We are ready to begin our 25th round. This is our last increase round, and we've begun with a chain 1, and then our pattern is 1 single crochet in each of the next 6 single crochets, and then 2 single crochet in the next. And we're going to do that one twice, just like the others. So we've done our chain 1. Here's our first single crochet. And then again, moving the marker. And we'll finish this 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and in the next one we're going to put 2 in that one stitch, 1 and 2, and we're going to repeat this 6 single crochets, 1 and 1, and then in the next one 2. We'll do it a second time here. And now 2 in this next stitch. Now it says 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 single crochets. So just 2 regular single crochets, 1 and 1. And now it says 2 single crochets in the next single crochet. So 2 in 1 and 2 in the same space. And our next is 1 single crochet in each of the next 8 single crochets. So 8 regular 1 and 1 single crochets. And now it says 2 single crochets in the next single crochet. So 2 in 1 of this next stitch. 1 and 2, both in the same stitch. Now 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 single crochets. So 2 regular 1 and 1 single crochets. And now we begin another pattern. We're going to do 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1 single crochet in each of the next 6 single crochets, and we're going to repeat that 3 times. So 2 in this next stitch here, 1 and 2 in the same space. And now 6 regular 1 and 1 single crochets. And that's one repeat of this pattern. We'll do it again, beginning with 2 in 1 in this first stitch, and now 6 regular single crochets, 1 in each. And that's the second time. Now 2 in 1 to begin this pattern. For our last repeat, 2 in 1, 1, 2, and now 6 regular 1 in 1 crochet, single crochets. That repeats our third time of that pattern. And now we move down and it says 1 single crochet in each of the next 8. So 8 regular 1 in 1 single crochets. And now to finish this round, we're going to do 1 single crochet in each of the next 6 and 2 single crochets in the last single crochet of the round. We should end up with a total of 72 single crochets in this round. And now 2 in the last single crochet of this round. All right, we have completed the 25th round. That is the last round of our increases. We are going to close off the round, and right now is where we are going to pause in our crocheting, and we're going to work on putting on his face. Do not break your yarn. You're not done. But we're just going to, this is the best time, I feel, to do the embroidery for the face. So pull up a loop there after you just finished your slip stitch and grab another locking stitch marker. This is a great way when you're going to pause for a while, not to make sure that none of your stitches come out. Just hook that new locking stitch marker into that loop, pull it down tight, and now that loop, none of your stitches can go anywhere. You're pretty safe. It would be a pretty big tug that would take that stitch out there. So now you can see your dino's face. And what we need to get ready to work on embroidering his face, you can see how easy it is to stick your hand inside. You're not going, the first time I did this, I finished him all the way down and was beginning his tail before I did his face. And it's quite a long distance to stick your hand in to try to stitch. So this is much easier and works out really better. So you've got the beginning of you've got his neck and the beginning of his body, and here is his face. So the first thing you want to do is get out a bunch of stitch markers. The first the ones that I like to use for this are not the locking ones. They're just the slide-on or slip-on ones, because I want to be able to actually easily move them. So you can see this is a locking one, and this is what the slip-on ones look like. They will fall out if you move your stuff around too much. So that's why I like having both and utilizing both for different purposes. So you can see I've got two locking ones on my work there, and what I want are these slide-on ones. So I'm going to just get out a whole bunch and try to, before I get started, so I can just grab them easily. You can see when you keep them together like I do, they do like to get themselves tangled up. So the first thing you want to do when you're getting ready to apply the face, and right now we're just going to be figuring out where to put the face, is you want to find that original chain that you made way back when and that you worked in both sides of, and you want to find both ends of that chain. And it's kind of just where your work began going around. And so put one stitch marker in each end of that original chain. And kind of make sure that you're working on the upper part of that chain and not down lower, which is going to be kind of underneath him. Okay, so you've got that, and you're making sure that you're in the straight line. Now you want to find the center of the head based on the face. So I bring those two stitch markers in together and I match them up as best I can, and then fold the head kind of in half so that I have a good idea of where the approximate center of this head is. And you can see I've kind of creased it and made a space there where I can tell this is the center of the head. And that's going to help me, especially when I'm placing the eyes, but also for these nose holes. So here on this side, I know I'm going to work on just this one side. I want to put a V for his nostrils. So I'll do the same thing on the other side, but I can only work on one side at a time. And so we're going to put another stitch marker across exactly in the same line of stitches as the original stitch marker is, but it's going to be about 3 crochets apart from the original one, and you're going to go towards the center of the head, not the head of the cat, the head of the dinosaur. So make sure you're staying in that line of stitches, and you're going to do, I'll try to come in closer for you here, you want one marker at the very end of that original chain, and then you're going to count 3 stitches over and put your other marker, 1, 2, 3, and it's going to go, sorry about the cat head, so it's going to go over here, 1, 2, 1, 2, and there's your third one, and you're going to put it in right into that at the end of that third crochet. So you're in the same line as the original one, and you've got 3 crochets in between. Now you want to mark the peak of the nose. So you're going to go from the center of the 3 crochets, and you're going to go up 2 rows. So you've got a nice V that you're going to create with your black thread. Now you're going to do the same thing on the other side of the nose, staying in that same line of stitches, putting 3 single crochets in between the 2 stitch markers, using that center crochet of the 3 to go up 2 rows, and put a stitch marker right there. And those are going to be the 2 V's that you are going to make with your embroidery thread, or it's actually yarn, for his nostrils. Now we want to mark the eyes. Again, we want to kind of keep the center still folded a little bit so that you can tell where the center was. And you want to be able to see that brow ridge lifted up there. Again, here I'm finding the center, making sure I know where it is. And I can see an eye is going to curve kind of right there on that side. And these are just using your best judgments really for these. But I'm going to find the outside edge. See, and another eye will go right there. And it's important to use your rounds of crocheting to make your eyes straighter so that you can kind of keep them as a guide. So here's my assistant again. And I'm going to just kind of make a good guesstimate. And again, I refer to the picture on the pattern for just kind of to help me make a good judgment here. So I'm going to place a stitch marker at the edge, at the far edge of the right eye as I'm looking at it, of where I want that to be. So it's about 3 stitches away from the kind of the underside of the dinosaur, and I want to follow the same stitch line and do the same thing for the other eye. I'm going to be on the same line of stitching, the same round, and go about 3 stitches up from where he is when he's laying flat on the ground there. So you can see I've got the edge of my 2 eyes marked there. Now I want to mark the center edge of my eyes, again on that same line of stitches, so that your eyes are on the same plane kind of, and making sure that you can see the center line, your guesstimate of your center line, and you're going to come in from that center line about 3 stitches and place your marker, making sure that it is on the same round of stitches as your other marker, and the same thing for this eye on this side. You're going to come down about 3 stitches in the same round on the same line and mark that. Sometimes easier said than done. Okay. Now we get a chance to kind of eyeball this. Now the one thing I'm going to do is I want to count the number of stitches I have between each eye marker for both the right eye and the left eye. I want to make sure that those are the same. That will help me to make my eye more symmetrical. So I'm going to count those, and if they are not the same, I'm going to adjust them in whichever direction that I see seems to be correct. And I think if I remember right, I could probably count about 12 stitches or so in between. And on my left eye, I have fewer, so I do have to make an adjustment. And it's up to you. Do you adjust the right eye smaller, or do you make the left eye a little bit larger? I think that I chose to make the right eye, I don't know what I decided, but I think, I'm going to make the left eye a little bit larger. There we go. And again, the most important part of this is making sure that your eyes are, your stitch markers are on the same rounds of stitching. And then I just double check. Now, are they the same, or did I just make it worse? Which occasionally I can do. Make sure that you have the same number of stitches. And then the last thing you're going to mark is the bottom curve of your eyes. These eyes are kind of a sleeping closed eyelid, so they'll be kind of a semicircle somewhat. And so you want to mark that down about 3 rows down from where they are and on a slight diagonal towards the inside of the eye on both sides. So you can see I'm going to come down 1, 2, 3 rows and kind of in about 2 or 3 stitches. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other corner of the eye. The same eye, coming down 3 rows and a diagonal towards the inside, making sure I'm on the same row. And now you can see that is the curve that I'm going to take to form that eye. And I'll do the same thing. I'm counting so that I can do the same thing on the right eye, but yeah, it'll make this kind of a semicircle there. So I'm going to count down and diagonally in 3 rows and put a stitch marker. And do the same thing from the outside corner of the eye. And then I will also count the number of stitches between these 2 markers that I've just placed and make sure they match the left eye. It looks like they do just by eyeballing it. That stitch marker was just not stuck in very well. So there we have our markings for our face. That's probably the most tedious part. Now we're just going to have to prepare our thread and get ready to embroider. Okay, we are coming into the end zone here, folks, as far as the part 1 is concerned. We are now, this is another change that I made to the pattern, and that is that we are going to do an outline embroidery stitch to make these features of the dinosaur as opposed to a back stitch. The first dinosaur I used the back stitch like they said, and it seemed to just kind of get absorbed in between these huge stitches in this big bulky yarn. So I felt it needed to be more significant, and so I decided to use the outline stitch. So if you do not know how to do an outline embroidery stitch, I'll look up a good video on it and put the link in the description for you so you can click on that. So here you're going to get out your black yarn. It's just scrap black yarn. It could be anything. And your good yarn or tapestry needles. The tapestry needles usually have a large eye and they are not very sharp. So you're going to cut yourself a pretty good long length of yarn because you're going to be using a lot of it, way more than you imagine, at least way more than I imagined anyway when I was working on it. And the best way to thread a tapestry needle is to actually fold the yarn around the end of the needle, not the eye end, the other end, tightly as you can, and pull the needle out. And now you've got a nice bend to push through the eye of the needle. Now you're going to bring the 2 ends of the yarn together so that you're actually working with a double length of yarn. You want to have your yarn doubled. Again, if you don't get enough yarn, then it's not really worth doing any of this because it won't show. So you're going to go, and I start with the nostrils, and you're going to go to the end of the nostril, one of the pull your needle out right at the first edge of one of your nostrils markers, and you're going to leave probably about 4 inches of tail on the inside here, hopefully that you can see inside, and I hang on to that with my hand, especially as I'm getting started, so that I don't pull it back out. And that's what you're going to use to really get this yarn and this embroidery very secured. So you can see I've got about 4 or 5 inches there, and the yarn is doubled. So I'm going to come to the outside, working on the outside. I am not tying a knot yet. I'm just holding it with my left hand as I'm stitching with my right. And you can see here I'm right at this nostril, the edge of this nostril. And the outline stitch, I always felt like it feels like you're working kind of backwards. You're headed towards the peak of the nostril, but you're going to do it by going the opposite direction. So, and you're kind of working at an angle. So you're going to go in and out, heading, like I said, towards that peak of the nostril. And you've got a lot of thread here, so patience, in pulling it, and you do sometimes get a tangle here and there. And just make sure that it's taut, but not super tight. And now you're going to go in and out right where you came up on the last stitch. And always working towards the peak of that nostril. And keeping your thread taut. And again, in and then out right where you went in on the last stitch. And it looks like we're about ready for the final stitch up there at the peak, and we're going to go in and come out right where we came up the last time. Okay, now we're at the peak and we're ready to turn around. You can let go of your thread underneath now. It's secure on the inside, but we're going to work our way down to the other nostril marker. And again, it's kind of going backwards. So we're going to go in and then come out where you just came up from your last stitch. And you sometimes have to tug on one side, one thread or the other to get your yarn to be nice and taut. And just keep going until you work down to that other marker, going in and then out where you came up on the previous stitch. And it's about 3, maybe 4 stitches in each kind of leg of the V for his nostril. And this is your last stitch here because you've made it to the other stitch marker. Get your yarn taut and then just go back down in right beside where you came up. And now on the inside, this is where you're going to get your very good knots. You're going to pull that out till you've got it nice and tight. And then on the underside, you can snip off about 4 inches like you had on the other side, or just tie it. And this is where I tie the 2 sides together. And I want to make sure that it's not pulling on the head and making it pucker, so I leave enough space. But I want to, once I get it where I want it, I want to tie about 2 or 3 really good, and you can see I'm really tightening those knots. So you want to get 2 or 3, and then you can just trim it off about 1 inch, even 2 inches, because none of this is going to show, and that just makes sure that it's not going to pull out or pull through. And then you're going to remove your stitch markers and do the same thing for the other nostril. And again, this is a dinosaur. This is not a, beautiful hand-painted doll. This is a dinosaur. So no worries if you got a little craziness going on. Like I have a little stitch sticking out kind of to the side there. He's just got an interesting nostril on that side. So now we're ready to start the next nostril, doing it exactly the same as the previous one. So you're going to just bring your yarn up from the inside at one leg of that V for his nostril right at the stitch marker, and continue with your outline stitch same as before. Now you may need to get another big long length of yarn to work on the eyes. You can see that I'm just adjusting some of these nostril stitches. The thickness of the super bulky yarn and the fact that it's kind of fuzzy can kind of hang up on your stitches. But you know, if you need to put an extra stitch in here or there to hold something, don't worry about that. Just go for it. You know, do whatever you need to do. And then now for the eyes, you're going to need a really significantly long piece of yarn. Again, threaded up double, just like the previous yarn. But the eyes are much bigger than the nostril V's, and the eyes also have some eyelashes on them. So this piece of yarn needs to be at least as long as your piece of yarn was for the two nostrils, and you'll probably have to get another one that long for the other eye. So here we go. We will begin again, just like we did with the nostrils, by threading our yarn and bringing the two ends together so that we're working with a piece of yarn that is actually doubled. And then we will begin by going into, from the inside as always, leaving about that 4 or 5 inch tail, and coming from the inside up to the outside at one of the corners of the eyes. I think I began with the outside corner right there. So I'm going to come up right there, and I'm going to outline stitch around exactly like you see me indicating there, using those stitch markers to determine when I'm going to place my stitch, how I'm going to turn and curve, and it will help. And again, leaving about 4 or 5 inches on the inside that you're going to hang on to for the first 3 or 4 stitches. And now you're going to go in and out backwards, kind of towards that next stitch marker at diagonally, down. So in and out where you came up originally, making sure that you get that yarn pulled taut, and in and out again, and you always are going to come out or up where you left off the last time, where you began your last stitch. So here we are, just working our way around. I've gotten a couple stitches in. I can probably let go inside, but I'm always the cautious one and would rather hang on to it for a minute longer than to have to pull everything out and start again. So again, keeping your stitches taut, using your stitch markers as indicators of where to go for the next stitch, and just working these eyes all the way around till you get to the other side. Now, right here, if I had been smart, and I wasn't at this moment, I would not have gone down in. I would have begun doing the eyelashes right here and worked my way back around to the other side with my yarn, where I would meet my tail from the original, where I originated, and be able to tie together. But because I didn't do that, I had to now figure out how to tie these two threads together and I want to make sure that I've got at least 1 or 2 pieces of yarn in between when I'm tying, so that I can make sure that this can't pull through to the front side. So I don't know if you'll be able to see it very well here. I tried to show it to you, but I do snip off the yarn. I was having a moment of senior citizenness, and I pull out 1 leg of the thread. So now I've got a good piece of the yarn between, from a stitch, crochet stitch with the main color, that I have going between these 2 pieces of black yarn that I'm tying into knots, so that they can't be pulled to the other side. That yarn will hold it secure. And then I do the same thing with the other end of the eye, and then I come back and do the eyelashes. Now, for the other eye, I was smarter, and I had lost my senior moment, thankfully, and I did work my way back. After completing the eye, I worked my way back with the needle and thread, doing the eyelashes, and was able to tie my yarn to my original tail of that yarn and get it good and secure and snug. So I'll let you watch the eyelashes here. They are just simply an in and out, 1 in and out stitch, and then to the next eyelash. And the number of them and how far apart and how long they are, that is completely up to you. It is just use whatever judgment, whatever looks good to you, go for that. Here is what my dino head looked like when I was done embroidering his eyes, his eyelashes, and his nostrils. And I assume you are done too, and you have just as darling a little sleeping stegosaurus as I do. And congratulations, you have finished your first dinosaur head. From here out, you are just going to work in rounds of single crochet. Your 26th round and beyond are just 1-in-1 single crochets all the way around, and you should have 72 stitches in each round. You continue to move the 1 stitch marker. I'll show you, I have got 2 on this now, and you want to keep 2. Now you're going to do your first 26th round, and you're going to continue to move that red stitch marker. But the green stitch marker you're going to place right in there with the red one and leave it, and continue to do rounds moving the red one but not moving the other one. That's why I use 2 different colors, because you are going to work these consecutive, whatever you want to call it, rounds of 72 stitches until you have 20 inches from that colored stitch marker that you left originally and that you're not moving. So that's why you want it there. It makes it really easy to measure your 20 inches and to tell when you are finished with this portion of the dino. And after this, we'll come back for part 2, where we will do his tail, his 4 feet, and his 5 stegosaurus spikes. And we've got some great hints and tips for you to do those as well. So here I've put in the first stitch of this round 26. I'm going to put in my movable stitch marker, the one that's going to move with me. And I'm going to put in my opposite color. This is going to be my stationary stitch marker. It is going to stay and not move on my additional rounds. So good luck on your 20 inches, and we will see you back in part 2 for tail, feet, and stegosaurus bumps. Have a great day, and good luck on your dinosaur creating.